there is no getting around the fact that the federal government has an important role to play in the future of the Pickering Ajax Airport. Now, the issue is, as a landowner, it creates a sizable piece of the landscape here that it needs to look at. But at the same time, when it comes to infrastructure projects, whether it's energy pipelines or new ports or ferry terminals or new airports, what has become extremely important in the 21st century is that we get social license. That people are able to buy in and be part of determining whether or not a project can go forward and whether it should and how it will. And what we've seen over the past years is a government that has preferred to step back from those sorts of leadership responsibilities rather than go forward. I am not in a position to say whether I think or not the airport should go forward. I'm very much in a position to say the federal government needs to be active in establishing a plan, in creating the framework for the kinds of consultations and business plans and growth strategies that would surround such a significantly important infrastructure investment. And it's something that I've committed to engaging with communities in a much more active way than the federal government currently is to determine if and whether the airport is a good project for the communities here. And on the ICC reports, I continue to remain extremely concerned that the leadership that we have right now in Canada is not taking an active role either on the world stage or here at home when it comes to being mindful about protecting ourselves and our children from the impacts of climate change. For me, we have slipped a lot in the eyes of the world in terms of being a country that was always there on the right side of big issues, and we need to get back to it. So thank you.
Hello, Justin. I'm with Land Over Landings. My name is Mary Delaney, and clearly the elephant in the room is the Pickering Airport. It has been the dominant election issue here since March of 1972, and I see no reason that's going to change. My question for you is not whether you think it should go ahead or not, but rather bringing into the discussion and the idea of a pan-Canadian transportation and infrastructure strategy. I think it's key with a pan-Canadian national food strategy, which ties into exactly what I was going to mention about the statement that came out of Japan today about food security, that is the issue for the day, and that issues of food security are affecting every nation on earth, including Canada. So as you welcome young Hadrian into the world, I'm sure as a father you're concerned about this. So my question to you is, does the Liberal Party of Canada have a national food strategy? And do you, like Mark Holland in the past had, have a green vision for the federal lands? Is there another way we can make those lands economically viable, remembering that agriculture is so important to our economy, other than paving the best farmland in the world? Do you have another vision?
Thank you. First of all, there's a classic joke around Ottawa circles that there is no problem Liberals don't think we can solve with a national strategy. So I can pull you out all sorts of national strategies. But the issue for me is really one of national leadership. Being able to actually take a big issue and engage with it both at an immediate level but on a long-term level with the narrow experts in the field, but also broadly consulting with partners and Canadians. That kind of engagement that is based around evidence, best practices, public consultations that aren't just checking a box in a requirement sheet, but actually engage, to listen, to learn, to build with people is something that's extremely important to me. And on the specific issue of the food strategy, that's something we are very much active building. In the last election, you may remember, we did have a national food strategy, but it was very much focused on farmers markets and access, support to local farmers, and developing access in urban centers to more local projects, which is excellent, but I think we need to go a lot further than that. When we look at some of the challenges that are being faced in the agricultural communities across this country, whether it's the grain shipments that aren't being moved because of problems with the rail lines, whether it's real questions around the viability of the family farm and the rise in corporate investments and amalgamation of agriculture and agri-food. We see that there is a real need to have a robust and strong conversation about it, which I'm doing right now, so that when the 2015 election comes around, you will be pleased, Mary, to see the detail and the strength of the national food strategy that we will be putting forward, because I believe in it. Thank you.